Hello, welcome to another project update. So, I have expanded upon the this boss enemy's grab function. So now when it grabs you, this chainsaw is going to slowly move towards you, and if it touches you, it'll do damage. And yeah, when you obviously when you run out of health, you die. And this was surprisingly harder to do than I thought it would be, because the way that I had originally programmed death into the game was flawed. Uh, so the way that used to work is it used to be that in certain player states, it would the game would check if the player was alive, and I decided to make it so that when the player runs out of health, it sets the player's state to the death state. But I should probably explain that a bit better. So my in my game, the player's functions are controlled through a finite state machine, which is like there's different states, and then it transitions. The player's behavior in different states is different. Like there's one for being like just normal like movement stuff, and there's water, and then there's rolling, and then there's airborne, um, and then there's this one called death, which is like the one he's when he's dead, and each state has its own functions for transitioning between states. And what was flawed is that the the process of moving between the regular any other state and to the death state is that the code inside the states has to like check if it's alive. But I changed it so that it just if the player runs out of health, it just switches to the death state, and then I don't have to do anything more complicated than that, because it's the death state handles everything now. Or rather, the function that transitions it into the death state handles everything. All right, so now I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like now. Oh, before we start, there is no blood, so don't worry about that. I'm not sure if I'm going to implement blood or not. I may. There is an asset for blood in the game, but I mean, like, I feel like this would be a little bit too gruesome. And the idea behind it is already kind of gruesome, but it's like, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So one thing that I had to do is I had to make it so that I had to make it so that the enemy's AI like stops when the player is dead. Because what would happen is beforehand is as soon as the player dies, it would try to grab you again, and then that would override the death state, put him back in the grabbed state. And I guess there's technically workarounds I could do where I could say like if the player is already dead, make it so that he can't be grabbed or something like that. But I think it's easier to just make it so that the enemy can't like is like the AI is dead or is like gone when the player is like dead. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I did today. I think I mentioned. Oh yeah, yeah. I did also add this in. This is a weak point. Oh, I actually never tested this. I'm not sure if it definitely doesn't work, but I can show you kind of what's going to happen when the enemy is in its stunned state. All right, so when the enemy is stunned, oh, that's the wrong animation. The weak point is going to flash like this, and that's going to tell the player hit this spot with your weapon. That will do damage. I think this is a good way of indicating that. And technically, in the way that the game's currently programmed, it is always vulnerable, even when it is not stunned. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope that was a little bit interesting. I think last video I said I was going to try and make it so that you can kill the boss. I failed in that clearly. Either that or I didn't promise it in the first place. I honestly kind of forget, but I think that was one of my goals, but I didn't really succeed because I got kind of the making it so that like the whole grab and like the whole thing with the player grabs you and like uses and like attacks you while you're grabbed. That kind of took up all of my time today, so I couldn't finish that other thing. Yeah. Anyways, it's probably it for today. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.